I had a liver transplant and was very close to dying at one point." Teen star Shelley Fabares had it all. Her hit song Johnny Angel beat the Beatles on the charts, she starred with Elvis in 3 movies, and then everything fell apart when she broke every rib on her left side when she fell through her own floor in 1994. Doctors found a hidden illness that was killing her liver. The only option was a transplant, which she waited 22 months for, not knowing if she'd live or die. What happened next changed everything. Shelley Fabares was born in Santa Monica, California, on January 19, 1944. Her father was from New Orleans, and her mother was diagnosed with Alzheimer's in 1988. But it was her aunt who had the most impact on her life. Nanette Fabre was a Broadway and TV star who had won a Tony and 3 Emmys before Shelley even started. Seeing her aunt's success gave Shelley a first-hand look at what life and show business could be like. By the time she was 3, it didn't seem like a dream, it seemed possible. In 1947, Shelley's mother saw her potential and put her in front of a camera. Shell's older sister Nanette, who they called Smokey, also did modeling but didn't keep it up. Shell, on the other hand, had something special about her. She looked young for her age, which meant she could keep playing younger roles while other kids were leaving the business. This gave her more time to stay in the spotlight. When she was only 10, Shelley made her TV debut. It was 1954, and Letter to Loretta was Shelley's big break. Over the next few years, she was in Captain Midnight, Annie Oakley Fury, and the Colgate Theater. Then she got a big chance on Producers Showcase, where she got to act with Frank Sinatra and Paul Newman, which was unheard of for a child. She also played Wuthering Heights in a live production, showing she could handle serious material. By 1958, she had a major role in Disney's Zenet, appearing in 15 episodes. By then, she wasn't just another child actor, she was becoming a well-known name. Film roles followed. In 1955, she was in The Girl Rush, but she wasn't credited. That got her on a movie set, and the next year, she played Susie Parker in Never Say Goodbye. She was only 12 years old, but in the same year, her name was finally in the credits for The Bad Seed and Rock Pretty Baby, but she wasn't given any credit for her roles. In 1957, she played teenage girl in Gene Eagles, but she wasn't given any credit for it either. These small roles often didn't pay off, but they taught her something. In 1958, she got parts in Marilyn Morningstar and Summer Love. Things were slowly but surely getting better. Then she got her big break. At age 14, she was cast as Mary Stone on The Donna Reed Show. The role changed everything. She went from part-time roles to full-time stardom. The show ran for 191 episodes, and Shelley was there for most of them. Suddenly she was a teen idol. She wasn't just acting anymore, she was becoming a cultural figure. By the time she auditioned, she had already sung with Frank Sinatra and acted on national TV, which wasn't normal for a 14-year-old. But Shelley wasn't normal. She had been working since she was 3 years old, and her Aunt Nanette was already famous, so she knew the business inside and out. She was young, but she was ready. Behind the scenes, something more was going on. Shelley and Donna Reed became close. They weren't just co-stars, they were like family. Donna helped her grow as an actress and a person. Donna even asked Shelley, "Why don't you call me Donna instead of Miss Reed?" Shelley was shocked because she had grown up in a Catholic school and was used to following rules. Shelley Fabares never wanted to be a singer, but in late 1961, the network decided that her character should sing on the show. Shelley had no choice but to go along with them, which is how she ended up in a recording booth, scared and surrounded by famous musicians. She stood next to Darlene Love and the Blossoms, who were real backup singers. Guitarist Glenn Campbell, drummer Hal Blaine, and bassist Carol Kaye played behind her. Even at the time, Shelley couldn't believe it. She later said, "I never could sing." The makers knew it too, so they smothered her voice in echo to hide her flaws, especially in the line "Johnny Angel" that she sang over and over. The song first played on the show in early 1962, and while no one expected much, including Shelley, something amazing happened just a few weeks later. On April 7, Johnny Angel hit number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100. It stayed on the chart for 15 weeks, and it also topped the Cashbox chart and went to number 1 in Canada, New Zealand, and the UK, where another singer had already covered it. Fabares' version got to number 41 and sold over 1 million copies. It was certified gold, and she never wanted to sing. Critics said her voice was warm, soft, and full of echo. Some even said it was better than the professionals because of how sweet and innocent it was. It didn't sound bold or sure of itself, but maybe that's why it worked. The label rushed out another single in. Johnny Loves Me came out in May 1962. It was written by Barry Mann and Cynthia Weil and was about the same girl finally winning Johnny's heart. It didn't do as well as the first song, but it still made it to number 21 on the Billboard chart and number 7 on the Adult Contemporary chart in Canada. It also made it to number 24 in the United States. She then released The Things We Did Last Summer, which got to number 46. All of these songs were on her second album with the same name. She didn't perform live very often. At the time, most live shows were lip syncs. Her producers kept the sound the same, dreamy, soft, and full of echo. The songs were meant for teens and they did well. Her music didn't make the charts for. Fans who heard it at the time remember it for a long time. Then came the recordings. Shelley had to release full-length albums under a contract with Colpix's Records. Her first album was called Shelley, and by 1963, she had a third one called Teenage Triangle. But behind the scenes, she wanted to leave. The schedule was brutal. Most shows today film about 22 episodes per season, but the Donna Reed Show filmed 39 every year for 5 years straight. Shelley worked almost non-stop from age 14 to 19, and she even had to take classes on set to keep up with school. It was a factory-like grind that didn't leave much room for teenage freedom. After 5 seasons, she made a brave decision and quit. The official reason was to go to college, but she really wanted to be free. It wasn't easy for her to leave because she had been forced into a music career she didn't want. She did come back for 7 more episodes in later seasons, but the damage had already been done. For the next 4 years, she couldn't get work because Hollywood had moved on. Shelley waited because she thought the right time would come again, and it did. When she showed up to film Girl Happy in 1965, she had only been married for 17 days to producer Lou Adler, but Elvis Presley greeted her on set. She was nervous at first, but Shell said it felt like they'd known each other forever, not romantically. Something clicked. Elvis already knew her work because he had seen her on other projects. The Donna Reed Show, and he knew her hit song Johnny Angel, which was number 1 in 1962. He made her feel at ease right away, and even the crew noticed how well she matched Elvis's sweet, innocent personality. In Girl Happy, she played Valerie Frank, the daughter of a Chicago mobster, and Elvis was hired to watch over her during spring break in Fort Lauderdale. It was a light, fun movie, but it was also the start of a friendship that would last through 3 movies in 3 years. The next year, they were back together in Spin Out, which was filmed between February 21 and April 7, 1966. He felt alone and expected, and these things all wore him down. Shelley Fabares had been working in show business since she was 3 years old, but everything stopped all of a sudden in the late 1960s. She once said, "I went to bed on Tuesday having worked since I was 3, and I woke up Wednesday morning and didn't work for 4 years. That wasn't just a dry spell, it was a terrible time for my business." People wanted something deeper and more serious than the happy image that made her popular in the past. Vietnam politics and the rebellion were influencing pop culture. Shell's sweet and innocent screen personality didn't work. She later admitted that she didn't take risks because she was afraid to change herself. She said, "I should have been more aggressive. My fear probably cost me some big opportunities." But she eventually started working again slowly. Her comeback started with a guest role on the show Manx. It wasn't a big part, but it was a step forward. After that, she kept appearing in shows like The Ghost and Mrs. Muir, Daniel Boone, and Medical Center. Each one helped her rebuild what she had almost lost in 1968. In the middle of all this trouble, she starred with Hank Williams Jr. in a movie called A Time to Sing. Her role was Amy Carter, and Hank played Grady Dodd, a young farmer who became interested in music against his uncle's wishes. The plot didn't make much sense, and critics tore it apart. It got a bad 5.44 out of 10 on IMDb, with one reviewer calling it idiotic plotting because every character made choices that didn't make sense. Even though it was produced by Sam Katzman, who had a history of success with teen movies, it bombed. Both audiences and critics didn't like it. During this time, Shelley took any role she could get. She went from Lancer Bracken's World and The Interns to Longstreet Mloud Owen Marshall Cade's County and Love American Style. But no matter how many roles she played, Hollywood still saw her as Mary Stone, the teenager from the Donna Reed Show. Her first part was as Jolene Hyland on the 1974 show The Rockford Files. She was the wife of a thief who had stolen more than $4 million. Shelley wasn't just the nice girl in this role. Her character hired Jim Rockford to find $750,000 worth of rare stamps that her husband had bought. It was a serious role full of betrayals and criminal schemes. It showed she could handle more mature roles, but by the early 1980s, Hollywood still didn't let her go. Behind the scenes, Shell's life was changing even more. She didn't file for bankruptcy, but there were signs of financial stress. In 1983, she got a part in a TV movie called Memorial Day, which is where she met Mike Frell, the famous actor. They met on MASH, fell in love, and got married in 1984. Soon after, they bought a simple house in Sherman Oaks, which Frell later called their honeymoon house. It wasn't fancy, but it was theirs. Shelley Fab never thought that her life would change at a simple CBSC. This time, Elvis's character Mike McCoy had 3 love interests: Shelley Diane McBain, Deborah Wally, and Elvis himself. This could have made things awkward, but it didn't. In fact, Carl Betts, who had played Shell's father on the Donna Reed Show, was cast as her father again in Spin. Out that familiar face helped ease the stress on set. The movie was a hit with fans, and part of that was because Elvis and the women got along so well. Each of them brought something different to the role, and they all looked great next to him. Elvis was paid $750,000 for the movie plus 40% of the profits. That much money showed how popular he still was. Members of his Memphis Mafia soon said that Shelley was the only co-star who could match Anne Margaret's energy, which was a big compliment. And Margaret had been Elvis's favorite actress. By the time Clambake began filming in 1967, things had changed. Elvis had gained weight from 170 to 200 pounds and was unhappy with the direction of his career. The scripts were getting worse and the parts were becoming more predictable. He started taking diet pills because a studio executive told him to, and they would haunt him for years. On the set, Shelley wasn't just a co-star, she was a listener and a friend. They talked alone for hours in trailers and dressing rooms, and one day he told her something he hadn't told almost anyone else: he was going to marry Priscilla Beaulieu. When he left the room, he told the others. "I told her," he said. Many of them were shocked because they hadn't known. Had faith the Shelley Clambake was a turning point. Elvis was very angry about the movies. He had been compared to James Dean, but instead of playing important parts, he was stuck writing forgettable scripts. While they worked together, Elvis and Shelley weren't just acting together, she knew the real man and could see the cracks in his smile. Even though they were close, their relationship was only friendly. This wasn't always the case with Elvis and his co-stars. Colonel Tom Parker to help sell tickets, Elvis's manager often promoted fake relationships. This worked with Anne Margaret in Viva Las Vegas and helped her become more famous, but Shelley and Elvis didn't play that game. She later said their friendship was real and honest, and he didn't have to join her on stage. Shell looked back on that time with both warmth and sadness. She saw what fame had done to him, and she said, "I just ache for what happened with him." She knew he had made some bad decisions, but she also understood why he had gone from being a 19-year-old boy in Tupelo, Mississippi, to becoming the biggest star in the world almost overnight. She remembered one time in the MGM cafeteria when Elvis peered through the door and everyone ran toward him, asking, "What was it like?" She asked, to be that boy and have that happen 100 times more? He had no chance because of the pressure the